Hello everybody and welcome again to my channel. This is Teacher Eman at pasensya na medyo natagalan akong mag-film kasi nga binagyo kami dito sa Bicol. So tatlong sunod-sunod na bagyo ang umabot sa amin. So ngayon, tuloy tayo ulit sa ating lecture dito sa UCSP. So ngayon, balikan natin kasi mayroon ako isang topic na hindi natin na-discuss. This is political and leadership structures. Okay, so part pa rin siya yata ng lesson 6 natin. So ituloy na natin siya. Okay, papakita ko sa inyo, dito papakita sa side, ang mga magiging topic natin under this topic which is political and leadership structures. Okay, now, let's start with bands, tribes, and chiefdoms. Okay, in a political organization, so sabi dito, bands and tribes are considered as the simplest political system. Di ba, UCSP nga, di ba, yung politics tayo. So ito na yung pinakasimple natin na topic with regards to the politics, which is yung bands at saka yung tribes. Okay, so ano ba ang band? Ito hindi ito yung nagtutugtog ha, iba to. Okay, so sabi dito, a band or egalitarian kin-based group of people, perhaps 10 to 50 members yung laman niya ng isang band. So medyo marami-rami din, di ba? So formed by several families living together based on marriage ties, common ascendants, friendship affiliations, and members usually having a common interest or enemy. So magkakampi sila, tapos meron din sila mga kaaway. Kasi nga syempre sa panahon, di ba, yung mga grupo-grupo ng tao, mostly magkakalaban yan sa ibang grupo. Okay, doon sa definition natin ng band, meron na nakalagay egalitarian. So ano daw egalitarian? So this is relating to or believing in the principle that all people are equal and deserve equal rights and opportunities. Kasi nga dahil nga dito, di ba, magkakasama sila dahil meron para silang commonality. So because of this, equal sila sa isa't isa. So parang wala pa mga pinag-usapan tayo dito leadership, di ba? So this is band. Okay, what are the facts of bands? So sabi dito, power structure is less hierarchical since members' families are seen to be equal, so egalitarian, di ba? So no class differentiation based on wealth. So pare-pareho nga siya, pantay-pantay. So, women have higher influence in bands which are pedestrian foragers. Pag sinabi natin foragers, sila yung mga gatherers, yung nangongolekta lang. Tapos naman, kapag lalaki naman, so men have higher influence in band which are hunting, pastoral, or agricultural. Kung makikita nyo, di ba? Kapag daw gatherers ang isang grupo ng band, ang nangunguna sa kanila o yung parang leader nila or sabihin na natin may higher influence among the group is women. Kapag naman daw hunting or kaya pastoral or agricultural kung saan 'di ba nag-aalaga ng mga hayop o kaya nagtatanim, lalaki naman ang meron sa kanilang influence. Informal leadership is given to men with certain skills and knowledge. He does not possess absolute political power. He cannot compel. He can only give advice. So, sabi dito, informal leadership, hindi naman siya binoto. So, nakabase ito kung sino may magaling, sino matalino, sino ang kaya may abilidad pagdating sa kanilang grupo. So, as band increases in size, there is a tendency of conflict which may lead to band splitting along the family lines. At kapag nangyari yon, kung saan hindi na maganda ang pagsama-sama ng mga pamilya kasi ang laman kasi ng band, maaaring family siya eh. Kapag naghiwalay na sila, ang tawag sa kanila ay band fissioning. Okay? What is social velocity? So, members leaving to or form their own band. So, syempre, di ba, nag-fission. So, yung band fissioning from one single band, naputol na. So, nagkaroon ng band fissioning. So, ngayon, itong umalis from the original band, ang tawag sa kanila ay social velocity. So, after fissioning in social velocity, the band will experience increase in population, shifts from foraging and hunting to a multiple communities engaged in horticultural or pastoral forms of livelihood. Then eventually, they will become a tribe. So, kung makikita natin, based from here, pag dumami na sila, ibig sabihin, magiging na silang tribo or tribe. So, mas marami ang tribe kaysa sa band. Okay, now let's go to the definition of a tribe. So, a tribe comprises a number of bands. So, ibig sabihin, ang isang malaking tribo, maraming laman na bands. So, these bands were politically integrated often through a council of elders or other leaders, and shared a language, religious beliefs, and other aspects of culture. So, they are more complex than a band. They have elaborate ways of organizing to settle conflicts to prevent societies from breaking apart. So, kung makikita natin, mas complicated pero mas maayos na ang pamamalakad ng tribo or ng tribe compared sa bands. Kasi ngayon, kung ang band kanina, di ba, ang mga leader na kinukuha dyan, it's either depende kung anong klase ng pamumuhay nila, kung lalaki o babae, pero it is still based on skill and knowledge. Pero dito naman sa tribe, makikita nyo, based on elders or mga leaders dito, ibig sabihin, they are more knowledgeable because of the years na kung saan buhay sila. So, ibig sabihin, ganun din, they have the skill, they have the knowledge, pero kasi sila yung ginagalang kasi sila yung mga nakakatanda. So, tribes are organized through the process of pantribal association, or what anthropologists refer to as Sodalities. So they formed councils or tribal elders. Ito nga sinasabi ko sa inyo, di ba? Para sila yung mga nag-a-advise kasi sila yung mga nakakatanda o yung mga leaders. So eventually led to the displacement of women leaders due to the shift from foraging to agricultural form of livelihood. So kung ang band, merong time na babae ang nagiging leader nila kasi foraging sila, di ba? Pero because of sa tribe, nagpalit na siya, naging agricultural na. Kaya karamihan, mga lalaki na talaga yung nangunguna. So, tribes are often headed by a village headman. He does not have absolute political power. So, ganun din. Parang ano rin siya, advisory din. Advice lang. Okay, so, what is a village headman? So, derive his authority from having a senior position, sabihin matanda. So, coupled with ability to force others to obey him. So, tribes remain egalitarian, so ganun pa rin equal, politically and economically equal. Their contact to modern societies led to the eventual collapse of tribal system as they were unable to maintain their traditional political system. Okay, so habang tumatagal, so syempre, di ba, nag-evolve na ang type of society na meron tayo. So, because of the modern society na nag-evolve na, nag-collapse na ang tribal system. So, ang band system and tribal system na wala na. Kasi nga pumasok na ang mga modern societies. Okay, so balik muna tayo doon. Punta tayo sa mga chiefdoms, yung mga leaders nila. So, a political organization that is more defined kapag mayroong chiefdom. So, a formal leadership exists and authority rests solely on the members of a selected family. So, a certain family ang nag-lead. So, members of community is ruled by a permanent chief coming from this elite family. So, sabihin, medyo wealthy sila kasi elite. And then, their social structure is hierarchical. Social classes exist. Social status is affected by the marriage, age, and also their sex. Okay. When it comes to chiefdoms, meron tayong dalawang klase. We have simple and also complex. So, what is a simple chiefdom? So, a central village or community ruled by a single family. Hindi single person, family. Surrounded by a smaller communities which are headed by subsidiary leader subservient to the central leader. So, may leader din yung mga maliliit na community, pero syempre under pa rin sila doon sa chiefdom na talagang nangunguna sa kanila. And again, the chiefdom is a family, hindi isang tao lang. Okay, now let's go with complex chiefdom. So this is composed of several simple chiefdom ruled by a single paramount chief residing in a single paramount center. Elites demand tributes in the form of agricultural crops and produce from the commoners. So meron tayong tinatawag na tributary system. Okay, so balikan natin unang sentence. So ang complex chiefdom, so marami daw chief na nagsama-sama, pero mamimili sila ng magiging kanilang paramount, single paramount chief na siya ang nasa gitna ng lahat ng mga chiefdom na nakapaligid dito. And because may mga certain leaders na sila, tapos meron pang isang paramount leader na chief, nagkakaroon sila ng tributary system. Ibig sabihin, they give tributes. Ibig sabihin, nagbibigay dapat sila ng parang kanilang harvest, kung ano meron sa kanila, para sa kanilang mga leaders. Okay, so research shows that chiefdoms are highly unstable and prone to cycles of disintegration and reintegration. Kaya kung makikita nyo, regarding this, hindi siya stable. So, maaring andyan siya, maaring mawala, tapos pagtagal, mawala na naman. Okay, now, let's go to our next topic, which is political legitimacy and authority. Okay, authority. Power to make binding decisions and issue commands. It is necessary for leaders to have authority. What makes authority binding and worthy of obedience is its legitimacy. Okay, authority kasi, kapag ang isang leader may authority, susundin mo siya. 'Di ba? Kasi nga, iba parang pag nakikita mo isang tao, pag you have the authority to lead, 'di ba? Kaya niyang pasundin ang isang tao, kaya ang mga tao nasa under niya kasi he can make decisions may kapangyarihan siya, may power siya. Pero this authority kailangang maging legitimate na ibibigay sa iyo. Hindi pwedeng basta pumasok ka lang sa posisyon, tapos naging leader ka, tapos sasabihin mo, okay, gagawa tayo na batas, ito kailangan sundin na lahat ng tao. Pero hindi naman pwede dahil hindi ka naman authorized. Dahil wala kang legitimacy. Kasi legitimacy and authority, kailangan magkasama siya. 'Di ba? Kasi kapag hindi siya nagkakasama sa isang leader, nagkakaroon ng problema ang kanyang leadership styles and ability kasi nga hindi siya susundin ang kanyang mga nasasakupan. Okay? Let's go with legitimacy. It is a moral and ethical concept that bestows one who possesses power to the right to exercise such power since such is perceived to be justified and proper. Okay? So pag sinabi natin legitimacy from the word legit, ibig sabihin may reason ka kung bakit ka naging leader. May reason ka kung bakit nag-exercise ka ng power mo. So if you have the legitimacy to be a leader, then you have the authority. Kasi nga, binigyan ka ng proper reason to have that position. Okay. So, tingin pa tayo dito sa susunod. So, if authorities was obtained through improper means like violence or cheating, one is perceived undeserving of power due to the lack of qualification. For authority to be binding and stable, it must be legitimate. So nakita niyo, di ba? Katulad kanina, authority. Kapag daw hindi authorized sa isang tao, ay hindi legitimate isang tao para maging leader, di wala rin siyang authority. Actually, nangyari na yan before sa ating isa sa mga presidente natin mga nakaraan noon, which is President Laurel. Diba? Kasi si Laurel, diba tinatawag nga siyang puppet president. So, he was given the authority of the Japanese government, kaya lang yung legitimacy niya hindi tinatanggap ng ibang bansa, specifically the UN, kasi nga, hindi naman kasi kasama ang Japan noon sa UN kasi nga kasama nga siya sa war, kasi nga part sila ng Axis. Kaya, anong nangyari noon, President Laurel was given the authority to be the president pero hindi siya legitimate sa mata ng mga ibang bansa na tinitingnan kung sino ang presidente ng Pilipinas. Kasi ang hindi kinikita nila, tinitingnan kasi nila, we are not, hindi tayo democratic under kay Laurel kasi nga, puppet president nga siya. Diba? Ayun yung idea niyan. So, kapag ang isang tao, you force yourself to be the leader pero hindi ka deserving. So, because you are the leader, pero maaring may authority ka, pero hindi siya legitimate sa tingin ng mga tao. Okay, authority denotes a specific position in an established government. So, dahil may position ka, may authority ka. Pero pag legitimacy, it denotes a system of the government. Kasi nga, katulad sa atin, di ba? How can you have the legitimacy to hold a position like the president, vice presidents, senators, and so on? Kasi kailangan kang ma-elect. So, once na na-elect ka, then you are given the legitimacy to be on that position. And therefore, you have the authority. So, an authority viewed as legitimate often has the right and justification to exercise power. Okay. From Max Weber, meron tayong tinatawag na tatlong klase ng authority. So we have traditional authority, we have charismatic authority, and then we have rational legal or bureaucratic authority. So traditional authority, legitimacy derives from well-established customs, habit, and social structures. For example, monarchical rule or the rule of the elites in the chiefdom. Okay, with regards to monarchical rule, ito yung mga hari-tree na. Diba, as you can see, ang kapangyarihan nila is pinapasa from generation to generation along their family line. Okay, so ayun tinatawag natin traditional authority kasi hindi nawawala sa pamilya. Kung babalikan natin chiefdom, di ba? Sa mga chief, which is babalikan natin siya sa tribes. Di ba, sino yung mga chiefdom? Di ba, it's based on the family. So, yung sabihin, kapag ikaw ang tatay mo part of the chiefdom, so yung magiging anak, part of the chiefdom, ganun din yung magiging apo at mga susunod pa ng mga generation. So that is what we call traditional authority. Then we have charismatic authority. So legitimacy emanates from charisma of the individual. So gift of grace or the possession of gravitas or authority derived from higher power, for example, the king, 'di ba? Kung makikita natin noon sa Bible, 'di ba, ganyan nangyari kila King David, kila King Saul, ganyan. So charismatic authority, parang may ano yan parang may higher being na nagbibigay silang kapangyarihan, nabigyan silang kapangyarihan because of that. So, meron din tayong mga, di ba, sa classroom natin. Minsan, pag namimili tayo ng classroom officers, tinitingnan natin, sino kaya yung mabait, sino kaya yung malakas ang dating, ganyan. So, that is what we call charismatic authority. Even sa mga religious sects, S-E-C-T. Pasensya na, kinirapan kasi magsalita. So, sect. Ayan. So, religious sects natin, kung saan, yung mga pastors natin na nagsasalita sa harap, they also have this charismatic authority kung saan nakakahatak sila ng mga members na kapag nagsalita sila parang wow, ang galing-galing nila talaga, siguro talaga ito talaga yung anak ng Diyos. Diba? Okay, so number 3, we have the rational legal or bureaucratic authority. So this is legitimacy from formal rules promulgated by the state through its fundamental and implementing laws. The most dominant ways of legitimizing authority in modern states where government officials draw their power. So pag sinabi natin rational legal or bureaucratic, nagkaroon ka ng authority kasi binigyan ka ng kapangyarihan through the state laws, may mga batas, o kaya binoto ka talaga. So legitimate ang iyong pagiging leader because merong batas na nasa likod mo, kaya ka napunta sa posisyon na yan. At ayun ang yung matatawag natin mga government officials na meron tayo ngayon, even in other countries, ito ang meron sila. They have the rational legal authority or the bureaucratic authority. Okay, so magdadagdag lang akong certain topics for this para dun sa mga baka sa ibang school nyo kasi meron ito So we have the nations and the state. Okay, ano ba ang difference ng nation at saka state? So let's go first with nation. So a nation can be defined as a population who shares a similar culture and ideas. So a nation is formed as a result of common race, religion, language, territory, history, culture, or political aspirations. These elements are not essentials and are ever-changing. Kaya nagpapalit nga siya. Ang idea kasi ng nation, iba kasi siya sa state kasi ang state medyo legal. So nation, kunyari, nagsasalita tayo ng Tagalog. Diba? Kapag nakakita tayo ng mga iba nating kababayan sa ibang bansa na nagsasalita ng Tagalog, oy, kanasyon namin yan, kasama namin yan sa Pilipinas, Pilipino rin yan. Diba? Kaya kung makikita nyo dito, ibang idea ng nation. Parang ito na lang, ito yung pinakamadaling example na nation Whenever lalaban si Manny Pacquiao sa boxing sa ibang bansa, di ba lumalabas ang pagiging Pilipino natin, yung nationhood na tinatawag natin, na kung saan kapag nanalo si Pacquiao, parang nanalo na ang buong Pilipinas. Di ba? Ganun din sa Miss Universe, yung nanalo si Pia Wurtzbach at saka si Catriona Gray sa Miss Universe, di ba? Nabuo na naman ang nasyon ng Pilipinas kung saan lahat tayo sama-sama na sumuporta sa mga Miss Universe candidates natin. Di lumalabas ang nationhood na tinatawag. Kasi nga, ayun yung ano natin, parang lumalabas ang pagiging Pilipino natin pagdating sa nation. Okay, now let's go with state. So, a state is comprised of 4 elements. So, government, territory, population, and the sovereignty. If one element is absent, it disqualifies the area from being called a state. So sabi ko nga sa inyo, di ba, medyo technical ang pagiging state compared sa pagiging nation. So, sabi nga, meron tayong 4 na components or elements ng estado. Okay, tandaan nyo lang itong 4 letters, TGPS. So parang ano siya TGPS, tagapagpagaling ng Pilipinas. May S, di ba? So, ito lang yung ginagawa namin na tinuturo ko sa mga estudyante ko para matandaan nila yung elements of the state. So, T is for territory, G is for government, P is for population, pwede rin people, yung mga tao, and the S is the sovereignty or the reason why our country is independent. Okay, now let's go with territory. So, a definite or more or less permanent territory is also regarded as an essential element of the state. In modern times, the citizens are bound together by residence in a common territory. So, this is land, water, and also airspace. So, pati nasa taas natin is part of our territory. Kaya nga may mga bansa na, kunyari, no-fly zone. Kasi part yung space nila is part of the territory. Kaya pag no-fly zone, hindi talaga pwedeng dumaan kahit ibang aeroplano doon. Okay, so a geographical area that is owned and controlled by a government or country to exercise such state of sovereignty. Okay, dito sa part na ito, kung isa kang teacher ng UCSP, pwede mo gamitin yung mga topic ngayon na kung saan naging issue regarding the Chinese na pag-invade ng mga Chinese sa ibang part ng bansa natin. You can use that in your quizzes or even in your discussion and also in your examination with regards to territory. Okay, now let's go with government. Kasi marami dito sa UCSP na talaga naging issue ngayon na pwede nyo gamitin in your class. So government, a people occupying a definite territory cannot form a state unless they are politically organized. Example, unless they possess a government. So government is the political organization of the state. It is the concrete and visible instrument of the state power. Kaya kung makikita nyo, kapag wala tayong matinong gobyerno, kawawa ang mga tao. Kasi nga, gobyerno ang supposed to be nagli-lead para sa mga tao. And supposedly, the government people or the government officials should be the ones serving the people. Kasi nga, ang sahod nila galing sa ating tax, galing sa mga Pilipino. Kaya dapat tama yung sinabi ni Mayor Vico Soto na dapat hindi tayo nagpapasalamat sa mga government official because it's their duty eh. Kaya nga sila nasa posisyon na yan kasi sinasahuran sila galing sa tax natin. Kaya dapat nagtatrabaho talaga sila. Hindi natin kailangan magpasalamat sa kanila dahil ginawa nila ang trabaho nila. Diba? So, sabi nga ni Mayor Vico Soto, mas maganda mag-aral kayo mabuti para maging pakipakinabang kayo sa future kaysa pasalamat kayo at asa ko na may bibigay ng gobyerno sa inyo. So in a government, there consists of 3 organs. This is legislature, executive, and then judiciary. So kung nililito kayo kung ano yung tatlong yan, tandaan nyo lang. Legislature makes laws. So sino ito? This is the senators and also the representatives or the congressman. Sila yung gumagawa ng batas. Okay, executive enforces the law. Sino executive? Of course, the president, the vice president, and also yung mga offices na connected sa executive. For example, yung mga department of Education, Department of Health, Department of Foreign Affairs, Department of agrarian reform, lahat ng mga department, it's kahit yung MMDA, under yan ng executive branch. So, under yan ng presidente natin. So, siya ang nag-i-enforce kasi siya ang mag-a-approve ng ginawang batas ng legislature. And then, the last one is the judiciary. So, this adjudicates cases or dispute cases. So, kung anong ginawa na batas ng legislature, i-enforce siya ng executive through its approval. Tapos kapag may mga tao na nagkaroon ng kaso, yung judiciary na bahala mag-decide kung ano mangyayari sa taong yun. Kung guilty or not guilty. There are different kinds of government in different states such as monarchy, democracy, and dictatorship. Most of developed states are democracies like in the Philippines. So whatever may be the form of the government, one thing is clear: there can be no state without the government. Okay, let's go with number 3. The state is a population is the state. The state is a human institution. So population is its primary element. There is no hard and fast rule about population. So human beings living together as a community comprises all individuals who in principle inhabit the territory in a permanent way. So ang population na tinatawag natin dito, these are already the citizens na tinatawag natin. Di ba? Permanent na siya. Hindi yung mga foreigner na pupunta sa Pilipinas at babalik din uli. Ito tayo, matitawag na tayo, talagang Pilipino talaga tayo. Iba nga dito, dapat inahanap pa nila, kailangan voter pa para masabing part ka ng citizenship. Okay, the last one is sovereignty. So by far the most important characteristic of the state is its sovereignty. It is the characteristic which distinguishes the states from all other associations. It denotes the supreme power or final authority from which there is no appeal. Pag sinabi natin sovereignty, ito na yung na tinatawag natin independence from other countries. So, dapat hindi tayo pinapakialaman ng ibang bansa pagdating sa mga decisions natin. At ito yung minsan ginagawa or lagi sinasabi ng ating presidente, which is si President Duterte, na hindi dapat tayo sinasabihan ng, for example, na UN, ng US, or kung ano mga bansa kung ano dapat natin gawin. Kasi we are a sovereign state or a sovereign nation na kaya natin tumayo sa sarili natin at kaya natin gumawa ng decisions natin para sa ating mga nasasakupan or its population. Okay, so a nation state is the idea of a homogeneous nation governed by its own sovereign state, where each state contains one nation, a state in which the great majority shares the same culture and is conscious of it. The nation state is an ideal in which cultural boundaries match up with the political ones. So the Philippines, pag tinanong, is Philippines a nation state? Yes, we are a nation state. Okay, so thank you very much for watching. So sana nag-enjoy kayo sa topic ko ngayon. So if okay naman sa inyo, please give it a thumbs up. And then, if you are new to my channel, please don't forget to subscribe and also hit the notification bell. If gusto niyo siya i-share para mapanood ng mga kaibigan nyo, why not? Okay, so sa mga nagtatanong ko sa kung ko yung mga topic ko, hinanap ko siya sa iba't ibang libro, ganun din sa internet, para makagawa mala ako ng isang matinong lecture. Kasi nga, ang hirap ngayong magturo, lalo na hindi naman available lahat ng mga resources natin. So that's why I'm providing video. So if you're a teacher, tas gusto niyo sana ng kopya ng aking topic, you can look for my Facebook, tapos ask na lang kung pwede i-send ko sa inyo through email. Sana Gmail kasi medyo malalaki yung mga file para ibigay ko sa inyo. So again, thank you very much for watching and I'll see you again on my next video.